In this video, I want to talk about the new quarter design for 2022. And first I'll point out by saying when I tried to look up articles of this new quarter design, the articles, they weren't really showing the new front design, which in my opinion is the more interesting part. They've changed the back design all over the place, and that really is nothing new. But when I went and looked up articles, I wanted to look up some articles for the new quarter design. Almost none of the articles showed you the new front, which in my opinion is the way more interesting part. So I think that they're trying to sweep this under the rug. And I think that the reason they might be doing that is because there's some really obvious symbolism at play with this new quarter design. And so I'll try to keep it short without rambling too much about the fact that, yeah, the people in control, they really do spend a lot of effort to worry about the details. And something like a quarter design change actually has an enormous amount of thought put into it. It's not just random. And so here we go. I'll just show you what I noticed in this new design. So yes, the head flips, and that is a huge sign. Inversion is one of the biggest signs or symbols that gets used. And it always makes me think of many people in control are obsessed with this notion of as above, so below, and black and white duality and reflections. And here, I think that the head turning probably just represents a big change, a huge change for America. And in my opinion, America's Babylon, and so nothing really happens just here. This is happening all over the earth at this point. So you could basically apply any of this stuff to anywhere else on earth. So yes, they're huge shift to take the face and just completely flip it. Now, some other things that I noticed straight away, the head looks way bigger to me. And that instantly made me think of, oh, George Washington represents government, Big Brother, and it's expanding. And that goes along with what has been happening the past few years. What do you know? They're bringing out this new quarter design, and during these past few years, the government has been expanding its powers like crazy and encroaching on personal liberties. And what do you know? In this new coin design, George Washington's head is highly magnified, looks humongous. I don't think that's just random. Also, I don't know if any of you picked up on this. I used the word liberty there for a reason. What do you notice about liberty? In the old coin design, there's ample space between George Washington's head and the word liberty. I mean, you can see the bottom of E and R clearly here. But in the new design, it's like George Washington's head is starting to cover up liberty. So not only is George Washington's head magnified, which I believe is a pretty obvious representation of the government is getting bigger. And not only that, the way in which the government is getting bigger is taking up liberty. It's starting to cover up liberty. So I think that's a really big and important change for this new dollar or quarter dollar. So the other thing I noticed, when George Washington flips, basically one of the only other things on the quarter is the part that says "In God We Trust," and that got changed a lot. On this one, George Washington is facing "In God We Trust." So on this one, his back is now turned. The George Washington is now facing away from the part that says "In God We Trust." So that could represent turning away from God. Here, George Washington normally is looking forward at where it says "In God We Trust," and now has turned his back to God. And notice that it's like God was an afterthought. It looks like it has enough space here, and it looks like it's supposed to be here in the original design. But in this, it's like it was an afterthought, and it's like it got forced to be squished. So it's like God is an afterthought and is just being, it's only there because it needs to be, and they're just quickly squishing it into the corner. Like, oh yeah, we got the God part covered. Like it's an afterthought. And then the other thing I noticed about it is that now "we" has been separated and is on the line by itself. It used to be "In God We Trust," and "we" was right next to God, but now we and God have been separated, and we is now being sandwiched. Doesn't it just look awkward? Like, this is just the thing too. You stop making excuses. Why would America change something so iconic as the front of a coin, the front of the quarter, and it looks so awkward and ugly? It's like there has to be reasons that they did this. And also, I think that this part is very suspicious looking. Like, the quarter doesn't even read well. It doesn't even, like, what is this? This doesn't even read to me as hair, and it does look very demonic in nature to me, this part. But anyways, I pointed out the main things, the main symbolism. I'm sure that there's more going on here. I just thought that those ones were very, I don't know, on the nose symbols. George Washington's face is magnified. That represents the expansion of government. And the way in which the head has been magnified, it's starting to erase liberty, and it's shoving God to the back and turning, George Washington's face has been turned away from God. So that's it. The devil is in the detail. I mean, the thing is that if you're watching this video, you're probably already aware of this concept that they hide this symbolism everywhere. I mean, the dollar bill has an Illuminati pyramid on it. How do they get most people to just completely dismiss the idea of Illuminati when it's on the dollar bill? And it's this idea of you're either a watcher or you're not. Hearing versus listening. You know the idea, the difference between hearing and listening? You can hear something that somebody's telling you, but not be listening. And in the same way, you can see all sorts of things, but you're not really watching what's happening. You're just a passive observer. You're not really watching. When you get it, when you're not a muggle anymore, when you learn about magic and how symbolism is the language of magic, you're no longer just passively taking in visual data. You're taking a step back and thinking about it. Oh, well, actually what's going on here? What symbols are being hidden? And often they are hidden. I think of the Bible quote that tells us to be as wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. There's a reason wise as a serpent. These evil people are the ones that are obsessed with this notion of hiding symbolism in plain sight. And it's an aspect of magic. And that's maybe just for a future video. I don't want to ramble too much about it. The idea of evil people being very detail-oriented is nothing new. I think it's what the story about the vampires. If you drop a bag of rice on the ground, a vampire is supposed to stop and count every rice grain. It reminds me of in the Bible when Jesus tells them to pull up a net, and they pull up a net and it's so full of fish. The first thing they did was count. They counted the number of fish that there were. Details are very important. There's a reason the magnifying glass is like the symbol of being a detective. There's a reason it's called Mystery Babylon. A mystery is not something that unravels itself. You need to be looking for it. And how do you solve a mystery? You got to look for clues. And I'll just keep this video at that. Maybe you found it interesting. I think it's pretty obvious the sum of the symbols in the new quarter are clear representations of the way that society is headed. And yeah, I guess it's worth pointing out here, sometimes it's almost like a chicken and the egg situation with the way that they use symbolism and magic. Is this like they're trying to cast a spell? Like they're trying to further blot out our liberties, and they're trying to further turn us away from God by doing this? Or are they just showing us that this is what we're doing? I mean, you just know how many people out there, they talk about the power of attraction and how wanting something, putting something out into the world is the way to make it happen. I think that they really do believe that by making a new coin that has hidden symbolism in there where liberty is being blotted out, I think that they really do believe they're casting a spell that will blot out people's liberty. And yeah, I mean, I guess that it's just a topic for another video. What does it do to be a passive observer and to constantly be exposed to hidden symbolism like this that you're just not aware of? Like, what effect does that type of magic have on people? Anyways, hope you enjoyed this video. God bless everyone.